Good morning. Welcome you all to my class on English first paper. Now dear students, look, we will deal with Unit 1 and Lesson 2. The title of Unit 1 is People or Institutions Making History, and the title of Lesson 2 is The Unforgettable History. Now I want to share one thing with you, that at the HSC level you have got a book on English first paper. I want to show you the book. This is the book that you have to study throughout the year. And this book is very important. Why? Because you have to answer many items, and those items are directly related with this book. Firstly, you will be given a passage and you have to answer some questions from the passage, and the passage will be selected from this text. And secondly, from the same passage you have to answer some multiple choice questions as well. Now apart from this answering questions and multiple choice answers, you have to also write summary on a passage that will be given, and that passage will also be selected from this book. So firstly you have to answer questions and answer some multiple choice questions as well from a passage, and that passage will be selected from this book. And then you have to also write a summary on a given text, and that passage will again be selected from this text. And then you have to write an item which is known as flowchart. And in order to write flowchart, again you will need a passage, and that passage will also be selected from this text. Now you know that these passages, since these passages will be selected from this book, that is why your understanding and your reading of this book has to be very clear. Now dear students, I want to tell you one more thing, that apart from the items I have already said, that means question answer, multiple choice questions, and then summary writing, and again flowchart writing, I will discuss these things later in my later classes, in my next classes, because it's not possible to discuss all the items in a single class. There are some new items as well, like flowchart. There is an item like theme, which is also new to you all, and these items will be gradually discussed in our classes. And you know that apart from question answer, multiple choice questions, summary writing and flowchart writing, there is theme writing as well. And in theme writing you can be given either a poem or a text, and sometimes we see that the poem which is given for writing theme, that poem is also selected from this text, the text I showed you. And that is why you have to understand, and you can easily guess that how important the book is for you. And moreover, you have to write a paragraph, and that paragraph is supposed to have a kind of link and relation with the lessons you will read in these classes. I said that the book that I showed, that book consists of 15 units, and each unit consists of a few lessons. Say for example, some units contain 2 or 3 lessons, and some units contain 4 lessons or 5 lessons. But all those lessons are very important for you. And when you will read the lessons, remember one thing, you have to understand the meaning of the words. I mean, the vocabulary is also important. Why the vocabulary is important? Because there is fill in the gap activities, like fill in the gap with clues, fill in the gap without clues. So sometimes even the fill in the gap activities are also selected from that text. And so for that reason you have to read the text very carefully, very sincerely, because I have already mentioned the necessity of understanding, the necessity of reading the text, because many of the items that you have to answer are directly or indirectly related to the text. Now when you will read, you have to understand the meaning of the vocabulary, synonyms and antonyms. You have to again develop a quality to summarize the text, and at the same time you have to develop another quality to identify clauses and phrases, because you will require your knowledge of phrases in order to answer, flowchart. That's why you have to also understand what is clause, what is phrase. Now these things are very important for you, and all these things will be discussed in the class gradually, and that is why in my first class I want to start, this is my first class with you. I want to start with lesson 2, unit 1. And in today's class, I will just make things clear to you when I will read the passage. Now you know that it's not possible to show everything on board, because we will deal with the speech, unforgettable speech given by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of our nation, on 7th March 1971. So I will basically use slide, and I will show you and explain the speech given by the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And let's go to a slide and see and try to analyze his speech and try to find out the significance of his speech. So let's go to our slide. Now we are starting the lesson, and I have already said that we are dealing with lesson number 2, the unforgettable history of unit 1, people or institutions making history. Now dear students, we will read the passage, and I have already mentioned that when we will read the passage, we must be very careful. We have to be very careful about the vocabulary that we will see. Basically, the vocabulary or the words that the meaning of which we don't know, or even if we know the meaning, we have to try, or we have to learn how to use the words, to know the synonyms, to know the antonyms of the words. So these things are very important. And at the same time, I said that we have to try to understand different aspects of the passage, different aspects of the text, and we have to learn how to make summary, and we have to also learn how to find out important phrases from the passage, because gradually we will need all these things to answer different types of tasks that we will face in first paper. Now, before starting each lesson, there is a kind of warm-up activity. We will deal with the greatest speech given by the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And the warm-up activity suggests basically to make the students to be free in the classroom, to have a kind of good relationship, to have a kind of familiarity with the aspects that they are going to read, a kind of background knowledge whether they have or not. Now over here we see some questions which can be asked to the students, and if I also ask you that what do you know about Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman? Now you all know that he is the father of our nation, and his role in the independence war, you are quite familiar with his role. Now it is your responsibility, basically the responsibility of the students, to say something about this great leader. Now you will try, before when I will discuss this passage, when I will explain different aspects of his speech in this lesson, before going to listen to those discussion, if you ask yourself these questions in the warm-up activity, and if you want to find out the answer before attending this class, it will be better, because this knowledge, I mean background knowledge, and if you just talk to yourself, or if you just ask yourself that how much do you know about our great leader, and about the father of our nation, and just try to say something yourself, and then let's go to the passage. Where is he giving the speech? What was the time? So when did he give the speech, and what was the time? What is the significance of the speech? Very important. The significance of the speech on this activity, or on this statement, or this idea, you will face some paragraphs. Sometimes we see that in the examination, a kind of paragraph is given which is focused on the significance of Bangabandhu's speech delivered on 7th March 1971. Have you ever heard the speech? Of course, you have heard this speech many times, and where? So these questions, basically make you familiar
with the lesson that you are going to read, because all of you must have heard the speech delivered by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on 7th March 1971. So the question asks that where did you hear it, the speech? Where did you hear the speech? And what is the significance of the speech? So this answer, if you try to give the answer of these questions, this answer will make you familiar, will make you quite adjusted with the passage, and you will be in that case to some extent free when you will read the passage. So this is called warm-up activity to just make you familiar with things that you are going to read. Now let's go to the speech of Bangabandhu. How does he start? How did he start? My brothers, this speech given by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is so familiar, is so popular across the globe, across the world, that everybody knows about this speech. And my brothers, I stand before you today. So when did Bangabandhu deliver this speech? You know that in situation he delivered this speech when the people of Bangladesh, they were waiting eagerly to hear that what he was going to say on that day. And the people of Bangladesh, all the people of Bangladesh were very eager to know what Bangabandhu was going to say on that particular day. And he starts in this manner. Now, what you will notice in this passage, not only the vocabulary, not simply the main points of this speech, but also the tone he used, the language he used, the vocabulary he used, the simile, metaphor, I mean the kind of comparison he used, the kind of emotions he created among the people through his speech. Through his speech, he tried to motivate the people of Bangladesh. He tried to inspire the people of Bangladesh. And the kind of language he used in his speech, the language was, so friendly, so familiar, and the language was so much full of spirit that the people of Bangladesh, they were inspired by his speech instantly. And how does the speech start? He says, I stand before you today with a heart overflowing with grief. So he says that I am standing before you today with a heart which is overflowing with grief. That means his heart is full of grief. His heart is full of agonies, full of pains. So with a heart full of pains, he is standing in front of the people. So he's sharing his emotions with people. He's saying that I am also very sad today, and with a heavy heart I am standing before you. I am not in a good state of mind. So he prepares the audience, he prepares the people who came to hear him speak in such a way that the people themselves found a kind of spiritual or psychological similarity with Bangabandhu. You are fully aware of the events that are going on and understand their import. So what he says, he basically made the people feel that he was so close to them, that he was such a man to them. He was such a person to them who was like the people, like the common people, and he wanted to inspire them in such a way that what he was thinking, the people are also thinking so. That is why he said that you are fully aware of the events that are going on and understand their import. So you all know, I mean, you know what is going to happen, and you also understand the importance of the incidents. And then Bangabandhu said, we have been trying to do our best to cope with the situation, and we, the Bangladeshi people, we are trying to do our best to adjust with the situation. So he is saying that we people, we the Bangladeshi people, we are trying our best to adjust with the situation, and yet unfortunately, but it is unfortunate for us, the streets of Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna, Rajshahi and Rangpur are awash with the blood of our brothers. What an expression he uses in this sentence. He says that unfortunately the streets of Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna, Rajshahi and Rangpur are awash with the blood of our brothers. Now, this statement or this kind of expression could be spoken, could be told in a different language, in a different manner. But the way Bangabandhu said, the language he used, this language was full of spirit, and that's why it creates a different type of sentiment among people. It created a kind of sentiment among people. It created a kind of spirit among the people. And the streets of Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna, Rajshahi and Rangpur, awash. Awash means that the streets are full of blood. The streets have been awash with blood of our brothers. So blood is on the street of different major cities of Bangladesh. The people of Bengal now want to be free. The people of Bengal now want to live, and the people of Bengal now want their rights. So Bangabandhu said that the people of Bengal, they wanted freedom, and the people of Bengal, they also wanted to live, they wanted to survive, and the people of Bengal now want their rights. So his expectation, his desire, and the desire of the people was same. And what he was saying was basically the opinion of the people of Bangladesh. So he was the representative of Bangladesh. He was basically speaking, on behalf of Bangladesh. He was raising his voice for the rights of Bangladeshi people. He was speaking on behalf of the Bangladeshi people, and he considered the people, he evaluated the people as his own brothers and his own brothers and sisters. And that he was saying people of Bengal now want to be free. So he knows the sentiment of the people of Bangladesh. He knows that the people of Bangladesh, they want freedom. He also knows that the people of Bengal want to live, and the people of Bengal now want their rights. And these aspirations, these expectations of the people of Bangladesh was fully known by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and that's why he was basically telling the thoughts of Bangladeshi people in his speech given on 7th March 1971. So what we see in this slide at the beginning of Bangabandhu's speech, that he started in such a manner, he started in such a style that his style, his language, his expression, his use of words, everything was inspiring, and that is why his speech is so important and so popular everywhere in the world. Now, he continued, "What have we done that was wrong? After the elections, the people of Bangladesh voted as one for me, for the Awami League. We were to sit in the National Assembly, draft a constitution for ourselves there, and build our country. The people of this land would thereby get economic, political, and cultural freedom." So what Bangabandhu said? Bangabandhu said, did we make any mistake? And what was our mistake? Why are we enduring so much pain? Why are we oppressed by the Pakistani rulers? What wrong have we done? After the elections, there was an election. And what happened in the election? The people of Bangladesh voted as one for me. The people of Bangladesh gave me vote. They wanted to elect me for the Awami League. They gave vote for Awami League. We were to sit in the National Assembly, and according to law, we were supposed to sit in the National Assembly, draft a constitution, and we were supposed to draft a constitution for ourselves there in the assembly. and build our country. And what we would do after drafting the constitution? We were supposed to build our country. The people of this land would thereby get economic, political, and cultural freedom. And after that, we would definitely get economic, political, and cultural freedom. So there was nothing wrong in our strategy. There was nothing wrong in our expectation. There was nothing wrong what we did, and because we won the election. But it is with regret that I have to report to you that today that we have passed through 23 tragic years. But what is tragedy for us, that we have spent 23 years, tragic years. Bengal's history of those years is full of stories of torture inflicted on our people. And what happened in those 23 years? We were inflicted pains, we were inflicted tortures. The Pakistani rulers, they inflicted tortures on us, they inflicted oppressions on us, they suppressed us, and they tortured us. And that is the history of 23 years, Bangabandhu said, of bloodshed by them repeatedly, and they have shed our blood repeatedly. 23 years of a history of men and women in agony. And not only that, this 23 years is basically the years of agonies, basically the years of pains and sufferings for Bangladeshi people. So what Bangabandhu said over here, that he emphasized on the torture, he emphasized on the oppression and suppression that the Pakistani rulers inflicted on us. And he also said, Bangabandhu also said, that we were being tortured, we were being oppressed and suppressed by the Pakistani rulers for long 23 years. And our expectation was to get political and cultural and economic freedom. And we won the election, and we wanted to draft a constitution for ourselves and wanted to build a country, but we were deprived of everything. Instead, the people of Bangladesh were inflicted pains and sufferings and tortures by the Pakistani rulers. So that's how Bangabandhu continued in his speech. The history of Bengal is the history of a people who have repeatedly made their highways crimson with their blood. Uh, I said at the beginning that the spirit you will see in Bangabandhu's speech, the kind of motivation, the kind of encouragement, the kind of fiery spirit, the kind of aspiration and guideline for our fight, liberation war, and he gave almost everything, every kind of directive is given in his speech, and he used arguments in his speech in such a beautiful style that gradually he will show that why are we now thinking about war, thinking about our freedom fight, because we tried our level best to adjust with the Pakistani rulers, but they made us compelled, they forced us, and we don't have any alternative, because the 23 years we passed during these 23 years we have been only deprived of our right. And look at the sentence, the history of Bengal is the history of a people who have repeatedly made their highways crimson with their blood. So we have made our highways, we have made our streets red with our blood, because we have given our blood for the cause of freedom, for the cause of independence of Bangladesh, our motherland. So the history of Bangladesh is the history of blood that we have shed. We have given our blood for our motherland. We shed blood in 1952. Bangabandhu refers to language movement. We shed blood in 1952. Even though we were the victors, we were the victors. We won. And in the elections of 1954, we were the victors in the election in 1954. We could not form a government then. In 1958, Ayub Khan declared martial law to enslave us for the next 10 years. Now, you see that Bangabandhu tells the history of our 23 years, and he chronologically shows in his speech, he chronologically tells that and explains that we have been oppressed, we have been suppressed, we have been tortured during these 23 years, one after another incident, one after another historical incident is there, and every time we have been deprived, every time we have been tortured by the Pakistani rulers. In 1954, we won the election, but we could not form the government. We are deprived. In 1958, Ayub Khan declared martial law to enslave us for the next 10 years. And what did Ayub Khan do in 1958? He declared martial law in order to enslave us for the next 10 years. He made us almost slave. In 1966, when we launched the 6-point movement, our boys were shot dead on 7 June. So Bangabandhu again refers to 6-point movement of 1966 when our boys, our people were shot dead on 7 June. When, after the movement of 1969, Ayub Khan fell from power and Yahya Khan assumed the reins of the government, he declared that he would give us a constitution and restore a democracy. We listened to him then. A lot has happened since, and elections have taken place. Now you see that Bangabandhu tells the history of 23 years, one after another, and the importance of telling the history in his speech is to make people understand that we have tried our limit best to adjust with the situation, but the gradual deprivation and the gradual negligence of Pakistani rulers, one after another, has forced us to stand on today's point. And every the 6-point movement and other historical incidents, Bangabandhu refers to all these historical incidents, and he is telling everything in an argumentative manner. His quality, his style of speech is extraordinary. His the content of his speech is extraordinary. The style he maintained in his speech is extraordinary. The language he used is extraordinary. The vocabulary he used is extraordinary. Everything, and the simile, the metaphors, the comparison, the kind of imagery he used in his speech, everything is extraordinary, and that is why his speech is so popular and so familiar everywhere in the world. And this is the speech which basically paved the way of freedom in 1971. When, after the movement of 1969, Ayub Khan fell from power, so after Ayub Khan, then Yahya Khan assumed the reins. Yahya Khan came to power, and after coming to power, he declared, Yahya Khan declared that he would give us a constitution and restore democracy. And Yahya Khan, he assured that he would give democracy, and he would restore democracy, he would give constitution. We listened to him. Bangabandhu said that we listened to him, we waited. A lot has happened since, and elections have taken place. But after his assurance, many things have happened, and the elections have also taken place. But everything after those elections, after that election, what have we got? Bangabandhu will again say what happened to us. I have met President Yahya Khan. I have made a request to him not only on behalf of Bengal, but also as the leader of the party which was the majority in Pakistan. So Bangabandhu said, I met President Yahya Khan, and I made a request to him not only on behalf of Bengal, not only on behalf of Bengal, I made a request, but also as the leader of the party which has the majority in Pakistan. So Bangabandhu spoke on behalf of the people of Bengal and as the leader of the party which got majority in Pakistan. Bangabandhu said to him, "You must hold a session of the National Assembly on 15 January. Bangabandhu asked him to hold the session of National Assembly on 15 January. But he did not listen to me. But Yahya Khan didn't listen to Bangabandhu. He listened to Mr. Bhutto instead. So instead of listening to Bangabandhu, Mr. Yahya Khan listened to Bhutto. At first, he said that the meeting would take place in the first week of March. At first, Yahya Khan assured that the meeting would take place in the first week of March. We said, "Fine, we will be taking our seats in the assembly then." Bangabandhu said, "Okay, if the meeting takes place at that time, then we will take our seats in the assembly." I said, "We will carry out our discussions in the assembly." Bangabandhu said that we would also carry out our discussions. We will discuss everything in the assembly. I went so far as to say that if anyone came up with an offer that was just, even though we were in the majority, we would agree to that offer. This remark, this sentence, this statement by Bangabandhu proves that how much sacrificing tendency, how much logical tendency he cherished in his mind. He said that even if there was a single person who could convince through logic, then we would agree with him. So this sentence proves that Bangabandhu was very much logical everywhere. So his speech is very symbolic. In his speech, you will discover that the spirit of freedom. You will discover that how a great leader can convince, how a great leader can suggest, how a great leader can give advice and directives to the people in such situation. Mr. Bhutto came here. He carried out discussions with us. So Mr. Bhutto came and he carried out discussions with us. He had said that the doors of negotiations had not been shut and that there would be further negotiations. And what he said that the doors of negotiations had not been shut and that there would be further negotiations. So understanding, there was the chance, there was the possibility, there was the opportunity of understanding. The opportunity of understanding was still there. I then had talks with other leaders, Bangabandhu said. I said to them, "Come and sit down with us. Let's create a constitution for ourselves through discussions." So Bangabandhu said that I talked to other leaders and I said to them, "Let's sit down and let's create a constitution for ourselves through discussion." But Mr. Bhutto declared that if West Pakistani members came here, the assembly would end up as a slaughterhouse. Now, this is completely illogical. So, Mr. Bhutto, what he declared that if Pakistani members came here, the assembly would end up as a slaughterhouse. So, there was no logic behind this statement because Mr. Bhutto was trying to avoid this sort of meetings. He was trying to avoid this sort of assembly, and that is why he was telling all these lies. He claimed that whoever came here would be slaughtered, and Bhutto said that who would come here in our country, that person would be slaughtered. So this is unimaginable. And this is purely illogical. He said that if anyone showed up here, all shops from Peshawar to Karachi would be shut down. So Bhutto's statement also indicates this is also fabricated claim, fabricated opinion by Bhutto. He was telling everything which was not right. And Mr. Bhutto was that kind of person who was obviously he was against our freedom, and he was lying. He was not telling the truth, and he was just trying to avoid this sort of discussion. I declared that the assembly would continue to meet. Bangabandhu said that he declared that the assembly would continue. But suddenly on the 1st of March, the assembly was shut down. But the assembly was suddenly shut down. Mr. Yahya Khan called the session of the assembly in his capacity as the president, and I declared I would be attending it. But Mr. Yahya Khan, in his capacity as he was the president, he declared that the assembly would continue. And Bangabandhu said that I would be attending the assembly. Mr. Bhutto said he would be part of it. 35 members of the assembly came from West Pakistan to take part in its proceedings, and it is 35 members of the assembly, they came from West Pakistan and they took part in the proceedings, but it was dissolved all of a sudden. But the assembly was dissolved suddenly. The blame was put on the people of Bengal. The finger was pointed at me. And what did the Pakistani rulers do? They put the blame on Bangabandhu. They put the blame on the people of Bangladesh. Now, this is, so far what we have seen in Bangabandhu's speech of 7th March 1971. We see that Bangabandhu, in his speech, he explained everything. He gradually explained the historical incidents that basically in his speech he discussed those incidents to make the Bangladeshi people understand that there was no alternative except taking preparation for liberation war. So in his speech he made it clear that we have tried our limit best, but the Pakistani rulers, they deprived us again and again, and they lied many times, and they put the blame on Bangladeshi people, and that is why we have to try, we have to think about our freedom for Bangladesh. After the assembly session was prorogued, the people of this country protested. I told them, observe the general strike we have called peacefully. So the sessions were suspended, the sessions were prorogued, stopped, and Bangabandhu asked the people of Bangladesh to maintain the strike peacefully. He told them shut down all mills and factories, and he also asked the people to shut down all the mills and factories. Our people responded to my call. So at the time, the people of Bangladesh, they followed Bangabandhu's advice, his order. So whatever he would say, the people of Bangladesh, they followed him. They came to the streets spontaneously, and whenever Bangabandhu called, the people came to the streets spontaneously. They expressed their firm determination to carry out the struggle peacefully. And the people of Bangladesh, they expressed their firm determination. They are firmly determined to carry out the struggle peacefully. So this is quite significant, because whenever Bangabandhu asked the people of Bangladesh to maintain peace and to come to express their protest peacefully, they followed it. So there was no violence. So that is significant for us to understand that Bangabandhu, in his speech, he expressed his logical bent of mind. He, in an argumentative style, he delivered his speech. There is, literary essence in his speech. There is something in his speech that inspires, that encourages the people. There is a kind of extraordinary spirit in Bangabandhu's speech that make people encouraged, make people inspired. And he, as a great leader, he when he guided the people of Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh spontaneously followed his suggestions. Spontaneously, they accepted Bangabandhu as their leader. And Bangabandhu, in his speech, gradually he showed that why he is standing in front of the people on 7th March 1971, because he and the people of Bangladesh tried their level best to adjust with the rulers of Pakistan. But the rulers of Pakistan, they deprived the people of Bangladesh, and they oppressed the people of Bangladesh, and they put the blame on the people of Bangladesh many times, and they did not listen to our cry. They did not listen to our pains and agonies. They didn't listen to our sufferings. So that is why the people of Bangladesh became determined, and they became determined under the leadership of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And in the significance of Bangabandhu's speech is we will again explain the speech of Bangabandhu in our next class. But remember one thing: the significance of his speech is that he maintained his speech in such a great scale that it's quite unbelievable. This speech is popular, this speech is familiar, this speech is extraordinary from different point of views. There is spirit, extraordinary spirit in his speech. There is extraordinary use of inspiration in his speech, extraordinary simile, metaphors in his speech, and extraordinary the language in his speech, argumentative style in his speech. So his speech is a symbol of motivation. His speech is a symbol of inspiration, encouragement. His speech is a symbol of independence, and his speech is a symbol of protest against the oppressors of Pakistan. And his speech also is a symbol of the urge, is the symbol for of desire for freedom of Bangladeshi people. So his speech is important from different perspectives, and we discussed part of his of Bangabandhu's speech in today's class, and in our next class we will discuss the next part of Bangabandhu's speech, and we will also discuss some talks on this on Bangabandhu's speech in our next class. And till then, I would like to request you to read the text, to buy the text. This text is available everywhere in Bangladesh, and you can buy it from the market. I showed you the text, and I will request you not to buy the guidebooks. I will request you to buy the textbook only. And if you just use dictionary in order to know the meaning of words, then it will be very effective for you, because when you will find out words in the dictionary, then your understanding of the word and it will be clear. And that is why I will request you to use the dictionary for better understanding instead of guidebooks. And I would again ask you to read Bangabandhu's speech, and in our next class, so that we can complete reading Bangabandhu's speech and discuss question answer and other topics and tasks on this lesson. So till then, I would like to tell you goodbye. Thank you very much. Stay safe.